I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap up for Friday, October 16th, 2020, the WNW 453. The big story is a big story, and behind that, another big story. The big story, this that came out Biden secret emails. New York Post, right? They revealed Ukrainian exec thank Hunter Biden for the opportunity, to meet Veep Dad. Now, why is that a story? Because, well, for months, maybe a couple of years, Joe Biden has said repeatedly, I didn't know about Hunter Biden's dealings. I didn't know that he was on the board of Burisma. I didn't know about any of his dealings whatsoever, even though he rode over to China on Air Force Two to cut a $1.5 billion deal. And the email shows now that came out that were released to Rudolph Giuliani, from a computer store, that a computer that Hunter Biden dropped off, and the emails contain evidence that Joe Biden would not only knew about Hunter Biden's activities, but he got a piece of the action. All kinds of emails about, I won't take half of your salary like Pop would, which is talking about Joe Biden. And he basically shows that there's a family connection, and a lot of people are getting paid in the Biden family. Also, and I'll tell you more about this thing. So this breaks, right? And people start trying to post it on Facebook. Facebook denies it. So censorship, big tech censorship. They don't let people let the story go viral. Twitter stops people from tweeting it out. The White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, her Twitter account was shut down. Other people's Twitter account was shut down. They stopped the viral promotion of it. Of course, Jack Dorsey said, oh, that's unacceptable. And then meanwhile, he shuts down the Trump campaign's Twitter account. Big tech shutting down and deciding what you can see and what you can't see. And this is a bona fide newspaper publication, New York Post. This is not some crazy, rag magazine. Now, this is a legitimate news organization. It's owned by Fox, owned by Murdoch, but still, this is unbelievable for the tech censorship to happen in such a way, which show you what they think. And yet, here's another story that's being censored and thumped and depressed. And that, here you go. Day 2 bombshell, newly released emails show how Hunter Biden worked to cash in big with China and money held for his dad, Joe Biden. 2015, Hunter's Bohai Harvest joined forces with the Chinese military contractor, Aviation Industry Corporation of China, AVIC, to buy American parts manufacturer Hennings Automotive. Well, why is that important? Because this is the Asian Aviation Industry Corporation of China, AVIC. AVIC is notorious for stealing U.S. military technology to build China's own fighter jets and drones. Now, you think about that while this big trade war is going on, and also tensions with the South China Sea and Taiwan going on, and our military ships over there, and the Bidens are selling, making it possible for the Chinese to get sensitive military hardware and military technology to use against our forces. Treason. This is treason, folks. It's an unbelievable story, and on top of it, you have the mainstream media not wanting to do this story, just like all the other stories that come out that are negative for Biden. Either they lie by omission or outright lie, just like the failed coup, which is now proven beyond any shadow of doubt with that other new documents released, which I'll get to in just a minute, about the other documents released, which is a huge story. About just that, which is yet another story that you're not hearing about because, the media doesn't like that story. It makes their candidate look bad because, they are actually just, propaganda. And so I might as well get to that too right here. You have declassified FBI spreadsheet exposes the Steele dossier farce. And media reports on FBI reports of media reports. This is the wrap-up smear, folks. This is Nancy Pelosi telling you that you put a story out in the media, they merchandise it and they talk about it, and then they post something on it, and then we take it and then we use it, and it just goes, it's a circular firing squad where we take the story that we leaked to the media and then take the media story and then say, look, it's in the media. Remember, I told you about the media leak strategy I talked about between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. And remember who Peter Strzok was? He was the #2 counterintelligence FBI agent talking to Lisa Page, the attorney for the #2, the deputy FBI director, Andrew McCabe. These are two high-ranking people talking in their tweets about the media leak strategy. And here it is. The classified FBI spreadsheet exposes the Steele dossier FARC media reports, because they were talking about the dossier. And then the FBI would use the media reports to say, see, look, it's a story that they released. And then they take the media reports and take it to the FISA court and make all these bogus filings, so they could spy on the President Trump's campaign and everything Trump. And even after Trump was in office, they're spying on him using the FISA court and providing false documents that they knew were false. Does the media tell you about that story? Nope. No. Just propaganda. And that's a form of censorship. That's a form of lying by omission. That's a form of, what is the media? What is it? Who are they? An arm of the Democrat National Committee? An arm of Joe Biden's campaign? Evidently so. That's what they acted like during the Hillary Clinton campaign. And then on top of that, here in a week where you're seeing the censorship storm from big tech, you see this. And this is chilling, and it might have something to do with me. It might affect me. YouTube shuts down conservative and far left channels in a tech October surprise. Yet here another. The list includes popular channels such as X22, SGT, Sarah Westall, Amazing Polly, and many others. And to be fair, YouTube also shut off many far left channels supporting BLM, Black Lives Don't Matter, BLM and Antifa, because they don't really care about every weekend there's like 40, 50, 60 people shot in Chicago, mostly all black. And people, of that, they have another, maybe half a dozen or a dozen die of gunshot wounds, mostly black. They don't care about those people. Some of the other sites that were shut down, Praying Medic. And I talked to a friend of mine who actually called me this morning, he's a good source and knows some people at YouTube. I can't tell you the source, but I know this person knows people at YouTube. Okay, I know it for a fact. And he says, listen, they want to protect their brand, number one, so they don't want either side, doing those. I think the conservative media though get way more views than any of the BLM and Antifa supported channels. I mean, X22, SGT, they got tons, millions of views, tens of millions of views. I think Amazing Polly had 1 million subscribers, 1 million subscribers and tens of millions of views. But he says, I've talked to a few people and they say they're preparing for a contested election and don't want to be blamed for stoking violence on either side. And they're trying to protect their brand. There's also a second wave coming. So I didn't get taken down. Will I get taken down in the future? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, this pretty much came without much of a warning. It wasn't like they, said, hey, y'all, we're going to take this day on, October 15th, and we're going to shut off the, dozens, if not hundreds of channels. Wow. That was it. And they're not bringing them back either. They're gone. Poof. Gone. Bye. Bye-bye. So I guess I made it through this cut. I don't know if I'll make it in the future. I have no idea. I don't know what the metric is. I mean, I try to source everything and I try to do a good job. And, I don't know. This is why I have that join button at the middle of the screen, join, or, Greg's special messages on the same thing. And it's in case I get, taken out of one of these platforms, Facebook, Twitter. I will tell you, Facebook had an update. It's a new platform. I thought they were messing with me. They weren't. It's some kind of a technical glitch, which I got to be able to turn it back on, which I don't get much traffic from Facebook anyway. But you know, I mean, what I own is usawatchdog.com. That's what I own. That's what I can't be kicked off of. So Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, that's all squatter territory. So that's why anybody watching this should always go to usawatchdog.com. You want to go and take it over to and watch it on the big blow-up screen and see the metrics on YouTube? Fine, go ahead. But you should always look at usawatchdog.com. This is why I want people to, back to the join button or Greg's special messages. And they're not that special. I mean, I don't really put out a newsletter. I don't charge for anything. I don't charge for nothing. Everything that I do, I put it out there for free. No charge, no paywall, no nothing. So I put it out there. That may change in the future if I get kicked off of YouTube. I got to find a way to keep the lights on. But there's another wave coming. I mean, people like Mark Dice made it. Hagman made it, I'm happy to say, for both of them. I'm sad to say that X22, SGT, Sarah Westall, Amazing Polly, and others, channels got completely taken down and destroyed, and they say they're not going to bring them back up. So is it a form of censorship? It just happens just now when the election is not going that well for the Democrats. I'll tell you something. They can't be thinking this is going well. They can't be thinking this is going well. I'll get to this in just a minute. And you see polls like this. Powered by trust on the pandemic, Biden leads by 12 points nationwide. Whoa. Remember Hillary Clinton about just a little less than 2 weeks before the election? Hillary Clinton up by 12 points over Trump. It's going to kill him. Same thing happened. ABC said the exact same thing in 2016 with less than 2 weeks before the election. It's just a psyop, folks. He can't even get a dozen people to come to his rallies when Kamala shows up. I mean, who are we kidding here? It's really unbelievable. Here's another story, and I wanted to bring this out to you because I'm sticking with my Trump blowout. It's going to be a blowout. And with this revelations about the entire Biden family and their apparent criminal operations and kickback schemes with foreign governments, which I think is treasonous, especially if the Chinese are banging U.S. companies for high tech that they're putting in their fighter jets and drones. You know, he starts losing bad election night, somebody's going to get a call at the White House from Jill. She's going to try to cut a deal. It's not just Hunter. It's the whole family. And she's part of it, Jill Biden. She's the key. You may not ever see this written about in the press. She's the key. Trust me. But here, again, about this. Here are this came out on Gateway Pundit. Not a lot of fanfare. It actually came out on Red State. I'm sorry. Gateway Pundit also picked it up. Good sites, both good sites. Zogby poll, 56% say they're better off than 4 years ago. No incumbent who has received less than 75% of the primary vote, at least 75%. No incumbent who receives at least 75% of the primary vote has lost re-election. Donald Trump received 94%. He also got more than 18 million votes in Bill Clinton's primary in 96, for his second term. He also got a high percentage of primary votes, and he won re-election. You know how many votes he got? Trump got 18 plus million. Bill Clinton got about 9 million, a little more than 9 million votes. Trump doubled that. He set records. He was the only one on the ticket in most cases. 18 million votes record. Another metric. Since 2004, the candidate that led in Google searches has won the election. Trump leads Biden in Google searches by a ratio of 3-1. And what about all the people in the middle? What about all the people that has watched all this violence? You don't see much, and still to this day, you don't see much on the independent voter. There's about 30% Democrat. There's about 30% Republican. Of course, you now see the black vote is now 23% for Trump. And for Romney, it was 4%. For Trump back in 2016, it was 8%. It's now at least 23%. And those are the folks that are willing to say, yep, cut me in. Give me all the crap you want. I don't care. I'm voting for Trump. The Hispanic vote, same thing. The independent voter, You think that I said the metric was about 75%. That's backed up by a friend that does data research. Because, yeah, independent voters. Yeah, they're watching this Antifa violence and say, count me out. That this is no. And then this little metric. And I'm not blue skying you here. I just think he's going to win. Yes, I think he's going to win. We're a heck of a lot better off with somebody who believes in the Constitution and capitalism than we are that somebody that is a godless, believe in the black hole of nothingness. And yes, I know Biden's a Catholic who believes in abortion. You're not a Christian, my friend. Not when they're harvesting the organs of live babies and they admit to it on camera under oath. It's on the Center for Medical Progress. They have, in some cases, have harvested the organs of live infants at Planned Parenthood. They admitted it under oath, some of the executives. It's on the Center for Medical Progress. You can find that for yourself. So Joe, if you're a Democrat, and any Democrat that's out there and you're voting Democrat, you think you're a Christian, you are not. Not when you vote for people that think it's okay to harvest the organs of live infants. That's a fact. That's not hyperbole. But here we have this from Ronna McDaniel. She is, hey, great data from Donald Trump's rally in Des Moines, Iowa. Shows the support the pollsters are missing. You got that right, Ronna. Check this out now. So they polled 10,139 voters. They identified that many people voting. Voters, 48.5% not Republican. Are you getting that, folks? 48% not Republican, 29% Democrat. Now, this isn't 29% of the audience. That's 29% of that. That's more than 3,000 votes. 29% not is Democrat, and they're not there with bricks and frozen water bottles and cans and bags of feces and urine to throw on them. No, they're there for the rally. 29% of this rally was Democrats. Up in Minnesota, Duluth, they had almost 21% who were Democrats. I mean, are you getting the metric here? You got a third, a fourth of Democrats that are coming to these rallies that, do you think they're going to vote for Joe, who can't get 4 people in a room to see him and his vice presidential candidate? Give me a break. On top of that, you have 25% right here that did not vote in 2016. They're at a rally. They're thinking about voting. You got 13.7% didn't vote in the last 4 elections, and they're there. Now, these are people with some real fear that, something's wrong about what's going on in the economy, what's going on with the country, and this Marxist takeover, and all this violence, and all this racism of disguised under white privilege. You could just look at a white person and know they're racist. Yes, I dream of a day when we can judge a man by the quality of his character and not the color of his skin. Remember that? I think that's kind of how it went. Martin Luther King Jr. Well, that's not working anymore. It looks like somebody can just look at a white person and say, you're racist. You're a white nationalist. You're a KKK member because you're white. You're a white supremacist because, you're white, aren't you? It's so unfair. We have the plan. We have a plan to fix all this. It's called a one-party system in Marxism and communism and totalitarian lockdowns and a tyrant government. That'll make it right. That's what they're pitching. President President Trump is fighting an uphill battle with the deep state. I mean, here he is. He admitted he doesn't want to chirp about this too loud, but because this is unbelievable. I'm not happy President Trump doesn't rule out replacing A.G. Barr if he wins the second term. Why would he want to fire A.G. Barr? Let's see, the biggest witness of all time, which he didn't use the protection services, the best witness protection services in the world, the U.S. Marshal Service. While what's his name was Epstein was in jail, and he was allowed to kill himself. The second suicide attempt. No video, no cameras. The guards were asleep. Just a combination of just crazy things that he died. Really, yeah. Just chalk that up. You've had Durham involved in this for months, and I painted this picture as well. Maybe they're not bringing the cases. Well, maybe they're because they don't want to do it right at election time. They do it right afterwards. Well, maybe they're not. Maybe they're just dragging their feet and they're not making any indictments and making the obvious a crime and failed coup that the documents prove they made it up. All the new documents prove they made it up. Like I said, right from the beginning, they made it up. And then they took their made up junk in the media leak strategy, another new document that came out today, and they put it out to the media, and the media put it out, and then they took it and said, oh, look, it's in the media, a story they planted. I mean, they made it up. None of it's true. None of it's true. And now we know this with all the documents that have been released. It was a total failed coup attempt. It was the FBI, the DOJ, the NSA, which actually, the head of the NSA, Admiral Rogers, was a hero and came over to the White House and blew what was going on. But they were using NSA material. They just had Barr put a guy on there to take a look at the unmasking. And not a report, no report, nothing happened here. No wrongdoing. Where's the report? Don't have one. Just trust us. You wonder why Trump's upset? All the evidence that shows there was a failed coup involved the State Department, involved the White House, involved Obama, involved all these people. It involved, they just got rid of Bruce Orr, the highest ranking person in the Justice Department. He just lost his job. How did he have a job? Christopher Wray, he took over for Comey, and he's the guy. Antifa's just an idea. Yeah, those ideas are burning down cities around the country and shooting people in the head. And so, here's a story that Trump blurted out on a radio interview. Zero action on the failed coup against the president by Barr. That evidence and many documents prove happened. You don't have to prove it happened. It happened. Of course, then again, there you have the propaganda media lying by omission and not covering this whopper of a story either. Got to say something about Amy Coney Barrett. I like her. I remember I told you Brett Kavanaugh, after Brett Kavanaugh, I said, she's next, Amy Coney Barrett. She's next. I was right. They say there was a strategy by the president saying, that he's going to put Kavanaugh in because he knew they were going to pull something, calling him a rapist, which was a lie. They made up all these lies about him, but he got in. And then Amy Coney Barrett, and what are they going to say about her? She ran a house of prostitution while she was 14 years old. She had 40 women working for her. I mean, that what they're going to say? I mean, one of the senators, Arono from Hawaii, have you ever raped somebody? I mean, what a ridiculous question. But Barrett, cool hand Luke, I'd have lost it, but she was cool. And Barrett, this is what they hate this. Amy Coney Barrett to senators, I believe in the power of prayer. That's like sunlight to a vampire. That's like throwing holy water on a vampire. I believe in the power of prayer. Barrett also said, the law must be applied as it is written, not as a judge wishes it were written. That's what it means to say when we have a government of laws, not of men. Will the Dems show up for the vote? Will they just not show up? And there'll just be Republicans there? They didn't lay a glove on her. They didn't lay a glove on her. I mean, they look desperate and they look ridiculous. Supreme Court Judge Amy Coney Barrett, Majority Leader McConnell says, we have the votes for Senate confirmation. 6-3, conservative court, a lock, end of story. Bing, mic drop. I don't want you to be lulled into thinking the economy is better than it is. I'm sure the Trump administration hates me pounding this drum. I like President Trump. We're way better off with him. He's done a fantastic job. China did send us this virus, and it was a globalist plan, and they want to use medical martial law to institute their crazy lockdown policies, and they couldn't do it with the global warming thing, so they're using medical martial law. It's a plan. It's a pandemic, as people say. Trump's done absolutely fantastic. But that's not the question here, whether or not Donald Trump has done well or not. He has. He's going to remediate this in a completely different way than Hillary or Joe will do, who's just a meat puppet. he's just a disposable sock. That they said that Joe Biden was a doorway. Yeah, he's a welcome mat. He doesn't realize how he's going to get run over after this is all over. And he's not going to win. But this is just going to show you how weak everything is, okay? This is not a reflection of everybody buying houses, and there are a lot of people buying houses. Mortgage rates hit record low for the 10th time this year. Check this out. This is 2.81% for a 30-year mortgage. That's stunning. Now, a lot of people are trying to escape the city, so it looks like in some areas, boom, real estate's going up. In other areas, like New York City, it's crashing. Like in San Francisco, it's crashing. In Portland, where they're still having riots almost every night, crashing. Seattle, crashing. Minneapolis, toast. And this is very, even though the rates are low, prices are going up. And also, qualifications for loans going up for this cheap rate. So, does this help poor people? I say no. No, it doesn't. So they'd be better off if you had an 8% interest rates and the housing cost would be cut by, 80%. That'd be better off. Isn't it better to pay, on a $150,000 house at 10% than a $300,000 house at 2.81%? Yes. You're buying an asset, not an interest rate. Don't be lulled in to the idea that we're through this. Everything's cool and groovy. It's not. And you talk about a metric to show you it's not. Axel Merck brought this up about the possibility of states failing. This is why this whole stimulus deal has been held up. Nancy Pelosi wants money to rebuild the burned out cities and also fund the pensions that they will not cut, like Illinois. Illinois made it a law where they couldn't ever cut pensions. They will not get their fiscal house in order. Nobody can take a loss. They just keep wanting more borrowed money and more money from taxpayers. And that's part of the stimulus deal. So desperate Illinois to borrow from Fed's lender of last resort facility. They can't get money from anywhere else. And when they do get money, they're paying not 1.234%, they're paying 5%. They're paying a lot of money for it because they're a bad credit risk. Illinois is set to borrow several billion from the Federal Reserve's Municipal Liquidity Fund, that's the MLF. Unpaid bills of more than $8 billion. They owe $8 billion to people. $261 billion in state pensions that they will not cut. They made it a law they can't cut it. Will the S&P downgrade Illinois' debt to junk? And you may think, well, okay, so what? Their debt's cut to junk and they're a failed state. I don't live there. That doesn't bother me. Oh, yes, it'll bother you. And there are other states that are probably nipping at their heels. And you're going to find out about it at the end of this year, and certainly by next year when the funding gets extremely difficult to do. I mean, I think the state of California lost 40% of their tax revenue. 40%. This is an area where they give away things to everybody. You can do that while, your economy's rolling. But when it's tight, I mean, this is the same state where Newsom is telling people, put your mask on in between bites. Which incidentally, you find out that 80-something% of people who wore masks and said they wore masks all the time, those people got COVID. CDC says, we never told anybody that the mask would protect the wearer. Really? What a scam. So, be on guard. Keep putting yourself in better and better positions. That's why I'm telling you about this. And listen, this wasn't even reported. They didn't care this week. This wasn't even reported because it's still less than 1 million per week filing for unemployment. Here is the jobless claims, another 898,000. We're getting close to 1 million now. Americans filed new unemployment claims last week. And this is what it looks like on a chart. So here you have it right when COVID breaks, bam, everything shut down. We had as high as 7 million people a week applying for unemployment. And yes, it looks like it's down, but I don't want you to look at this big drop. I want you to look at where it was right here, okay, and where it is right here. It's still 4 or 5 times higher Let's talk about 898, almost 900,000 people filing for new unemployment claims. If you look at the way unemployment was compiled in 1995 and early, 1994 and early, this is according to John Williams at shadowstats.com, smart guy, economist, shadowstats.com. If you look at that, we're at about 28% unemployment. In the depths of the Great Depression, there was almost 25% unemployment, folks. This is all being covered up with the funny money printing. They didn't do that back in the Great Depression. You had, food lines. They were handing out cheese and peanut butter to people, okay, because they didn't want them to starve. You had 25% of the population. The United States was 90 million or so, and a quarter of them didn't have a job. So what was that? Almost 22 million people without work. In a population of 90 million, now we have 320 million, and we have 28% that are work. What is that? Are you getting this? I want you to stay on guard and keep putting yourself in a better position. Keep paying stuff off. Keep acquiring some cash. You probably should buy some silver. I don't sell it, so I don't care where you get it. We're fighting some truly evil people here. Really, truly evil people. And the Democrats that will just keep voting Democrat. It's just unbelievable. It's like they're moronic. So let me get this straight. I got a couple of people that live in my neighborhood that work for the city of New York, let's just say that. And they moved down here because they can't retire up in New York. Their pensions and their medical benefits are being destroyed. I don't think they even understand that. And then they come down here and they got a Biden sign in their front yard. So you couldn't retire in New York City, or anywhere around there. You had to come down here to North Carolina, and you're going to keep voting cuckoo time. I think this is appropriate. It's 2 Thessalonians 2:10-11. And with all the unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they do not receive the love of the truth, that's Jesus, the truth, the light, the way, Jesus, that they might be saved. And for this cause, God shall send them a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, what is false. Let me tell you about the delusion, folks. People in Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis, they're voting Democrat. The delusion does not help you. Doesn't. That's not meant to help you. And so, listen, I hope everybody, repents and gets redemption. I hope everybody wakes up. And some people are coming to these Trump rallies. Not that he's some preacher, because he's not, but he does believe in God. He does believe in Christ. And he does believe in the Constitution and the protection of the unborn and the born, the babies. They're harvesting the organs from, and that's a fact that happens. They're harvesting the organs of live babies. Yep. Yeah, that's not hyperbole. I can back that up. I can source that. And so, believe in the truth. You'll be better off for it. Thank you very much for supporting USAWatchdog.com. Remember to hit the join button. Pray for me that I'll stay on YouTube. It's easier for me to post. It's easier for me to get some kind of a revenue stream, and much easier for me to keep this free to the public. I appreciate your comments and your donations. That helps me. I think I have some of the smartest people on the internet on USAWatchdog.com and on my YouTube channel. Thank you again for supporting USAWatchdog.com. And remember, I want you to be informed. Evil wants you to be afraid. Don't be. So to that I say, fear not. Prepare yourself mentally, physically, and above all, spiritually. Fear not. God the Father, His Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit are all firmly in control. Thanks again for supporting USAWatchdog.com.